Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and it's, I don't know, it's comic day for me. It's actually 2 weeks worth of comics. This is how far behind I am. I'm actually just opening up comics from last week and this week. I'm going to go over these relatively quickly, I guess. I'm a bit frustrated with YouTube right now, and I don't know exactly how I want to talk comics. I mean, I know that this is marginally interesting. Oh, this is what I got this week. But that's not really talking comics, right? So we'll see. I'll figure something out. I don't know exactly what that's going to be. If that's going to be just me talking to myself or whatever. Like I said, I'm a bit frustrated. I want to get back into talking comics. Just haven't decided exactly how I want to do that. I probably want to just talk about the comics I feel like talking about at the time, or actually really go through my entire pull list and talk about whatever all is out there. At any rate, comics I picked up 2 weeks ago. Batman issue number 76, more of the City of Bane. The first issue was amusing. I don't know how much sense it makes if I want to try and put it all together. We had the whole out in the desert thing. Batman beats his dad, and then suddenly we're back in Gotham, and Thomas Wayne, dad, he seems fine. So how does that all work? I don't know 100%. But I like reading it as it's going along. We'll see how that all makes sense put together or not. So, but it was a fun first issue for the City of Bane stuff. Comic book I am super excited about getting to read. I haven't seen anybody talking about it really other than kind of the review places talking about it. It is Coffin Bound, Image Comics, issue number 1, written by Dan Waters of Lucifer written stuff. Really, really love Lucifer. It's one of my favorite books that's coming out monthly. So I'm super excited to read this. Art by Dani, D-A-N-I. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure you could probably throw some Paul Popish comparisons maybe by that cover, but I'm super excited to jump into this and check this book out for both the artist and the writer, but especially the writer. Definitely the writer. Daredevil. Seems like a while since we've seen a Daredevil issue. Daredevil issue number 9. No Devils, Only Gods, part 4. So Daredevil gave up being Daredevil, if I remember correct from the last issue I read. So we'll see what's in store for Matt Murdock and Daredevil. Let's see, Young Animals. This is Doom Patrol, Weight of the World, issue number 2. This is, I don't know if this is the regular cover or the variant cover. This is the variant cover, I believe. I wasn't terribly excited by issue 1. We'll see with issue number 2. I'm becoming a harder critic of Doom Patrol comic books. I love the Doom Patrol. So you better deliver, kind of thing. And I don't know that this has. The huge gap between books was a bit problematic, and I'm not sure we have a real direction yet for the Doom Patrol. We'll see. See what that really like. House of X, issue number 2. It's another big, thick book. Another $5 book. Like that cover. I'm not as super excited by this whole thing as a lot of other people seem to be. It's interesting to have kind of a different telling. I mean, it almost feels like to some degree Hickman is paying homage to the continuity that was the X-Men and everything, but also at the same time kind of throwing that all out the door and kind of doing his own thing, which is cool. I guess when I'm really frustrated, I'm not frustrated with this book. This is interesting to read. There's lots of stuff in here to speculate on, which is fun. It's fun to read a comic book that has lots of that. And then you can have lots of discussion with people, and in my own gray matter as to what is going on, because there's stuff that's going on here that to me seems to be very unlike the characters that are doing some of this stuff. But I guess what I'm bummed about is now I'm starting to see the solicits for the other X-Men books that are going to come after this. And none of that looks like that appeals to me. It's all got characters in it that I do not care for, or a mix of combination of stuff. Maybe I just can't let go. I was kind of, as a purist level, I was hoping that we would see kind of like the original crew. But maybe those stories have all been told. Maybe that's why we're not having the original crew. I certainly don't want to read an X-Men book that is led by Cyclops. Yeah, I get it. He's kind of cool in this. In my brain, Cyclops is still just kind of a dick, and I just don't really have an interest in him. I don't have an interest in Jean Grey. Those are the two characters across the entire X-Men spectrum that I'm aware of that I have never liked, not one iota, not ever. Even back in the days in the 80s when it was all coming out, I've never liked those characters. So making them big focal points doesn't interest me a whole lot. A book that I'm super excited about, as always, issue number 22 of the Immortal Hulk. So we've got our Harpy Hulk there, Immortal Hulk. Not sure who the glowing green eyes one is. Maybe we'll get to check that out. Always an excellent book. Al Ewing, Joe Bennett are just rocking this book. The best Marvel book that's coming out right now. Easy for me. Good stuff. Issue number 2 of Lois Lane. I'm excited for this. See what kind of adventure Lois is going to get herself into. Issue number 1 was really good. Good start. Had a really good feel to it. Rucka and Perkins are going to just rock this out, I think. So very much looking forward to that. Issue 2 of Sea of Stars by Jason Aaron and Dennis Hallam. I really enjoyed the first issue. Set up some interesting stuff. This kid kind of gets stranded. His summer vacation was basically spent working with his dad. His dad's kind of a transport person. They run into afoul of some intergalactic stuff that wrecks the ship. And the kid is left to float to his death, except he doesn't die. He seems to be kind of like one with the universe in some sense. He's kind of now hooked up with some, what would be considered like sharks and sea monkeys of space kind of a thing. So we'll see how that works. And dad is desperately trying to hunt his kid down desperately. So what issue 2 is going to bring us, I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to it. Birthright issue number 38. It's just been a lot of fun. We're gearing up to go to battle against the last of the powerful mages that are on Earth. That's kind of jacking everything up on Earth. So we'll see, what plays out there. Just really been enjoying it. The Brenson art continues to be beautiful, and the best beard in comics continues to be Mikey in this book, for sure. Oh, here is the variant cover of Doom Patrol. This is a Paul Pope cover. So I am picking up, this is the one thing I'm double dipping on as far as a variant covers. I normally don't do that. But I collect all Doom Patrol, so I'd have to buy them at some point. So I'm just buying them now instead of having to try and hunt them down at some later date, because I don't have easy access to comics. And lastly, for 2 weeks ago, it is Thumbs Part 3. Truly love this book. It has been really cool. Sean Lewis and Hayden Sherman have been telling this great story about this character named Thumbs, who is called Thumbs because he was really good at video games. That video game is translating him basically being part of a rebel group that tries overthrowing the government. The government wipes them all out largely. Thumbs gets put into a coma and kept alive. He is now awake. It's 20 years later. Instead of him being a young teen, he's a young adult now, and his onboard computer is still working. Most people's aren't, and he is going to, save his family, save his friends, and maybe create some chaos along the way. Like I said, really like the art in it. Hayden Sherman is also the artist on Wasted Space, another book that is visually like. It's just kind of an interesting kind of thing. And this is a $5.99 book, but it is a hefty book. It is way heavier than any of the other books that are in that pile. So super stuff there. So and then this week's books are here. I need to kind of keep these separated only so I don't read the X-Men books wrong in the wrong order. So I do not want that. So let me do some adjusting here really quick. Move that pile out of the way. So this week's books. It is Catwoman issue number 14, part of the whole Year of the Villain, Gifts of Dark Gifts. This is written by V, that's Vam, I believe, who is writing the Vault book, Shores. Dang it. Can't remember the name right now, that I really love. And I can't remember it. The last issue of that is taking a long time to come out. So, but anyway, we'll see. I'm sure at the end of this, we'll get some offering for Catwoman. Otherwise, you know, she's trying to make her way in the city with her friends and her sister. What all that means, we'll find out. Collider issue number 2. There were aspects of Collider I really enjoyed and aspects of it I didn't care for all that much. That I felt just kind of, it felt neurotic and not in a fun, pleasant way to read neurotic, but neurotic as the reader trying to read it. Written by Mikey Way, who is brother of Jar Way, who is writing, of course, the Young Animal stuff and is the curator, is writing the Doom Patrol stuff, I mean, and is the curator for the whole Young Animals thing. It is, so we'll see. This guy's basically inherited a wormhole effect on himself that a lot of people across the galaxy are trying to get a hold of. So we'll see how that works. He's just a guy, you know, on Earth trying to go about his day, and we'll see what happens for the Collapser. Leviathan issue number 3. Lots of great characters in this. I don't know largely if I'm enjoying the mystery of it. Bendis's voice for Batman is weird at best. You know, they've now are blaming Red Hood for being the Leviathan, which of course, bet money that's not really the case. I hope we see more of the Question, and I don't know. No, issue 3 is halfway through the miniseries. We'll see. I'm just not the biggest Bendis fan as a whole, I guess. I don't know. Gideon Falls, issue number 16. I really enjoyed issue number 15. It felt like it fell back more into the kind of horror comic that the book was initially. This kind of psychological creep and suspense, less of the kind of multiverse sci-fi aspect to it. So we'll see what this one brings for us. Counsel Whispers, issue number 12. I'll have to see what I'm going to do with this book now. I'm no longer getting a Vertigo discount because the Vertigo line is basically dropping. They're just going to be DC Comics, fall somewhere into the DC House of Comics. This is my least favorite of all the Sandman Universe books. I did order my comics last week, I think, and I did order this comic, so I'm keeping it on because there are aspects I do like about it. There's some execution issues with it. Bits and pieces of it are written by Dan Waters, the guy that I've talked about in the last pile of comics, who writes Lucifer. So there's aspects I like. I'm just not sure if it's his aspects I like. I like the concept of the book. It's just not executed as well as what I would like. So I'm on the fence, really on the fence now that I'm not getting a discount. I'm not getting it 50% off. So less reason for me to hang on to it. Issue 9 of Miles Morales Spider-Man. I know I enjoyed the last issue, but dang if I can remember exactly what went on in it. The Life and Times of Miles Morales. Not a bad comic. New book from Boom Studios, Once and Future. This is written by Kieran Gillian, which is the big reason I'm picking it up. Dan Mora art, never hurts anything. Tamara Bonaville, or Bonvillain is doing the colors on it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it is about. I'm quite honestly not 100% sure. Got a big sword, a little lady with a shotgun back there, and some splattering blood. So we'll see what all it has. But kind of inclined to pick up anything that Kieran Gillian is writing, especially if it's not in the big 2. But even the big 2, I'd be curious to see what it might be, unless it's a Star Wars book, which I have zero interest in. But I can check out most anything else that he's producing otherwise. And then, of course, we get the next X-Men book that I would need to read, The Powers of X. The Power of X, this is number 2. Issue number 1 was really interesting. It kind of gave us like 4 timelines, gave us just the distant, the brief past, kind of the current now, future and then like way millennia future kind of a thing, which I'm always bothered by when they do that, because as soon as you float me a future, well, it feels like it's kind of set in stone. Now the story that comes before it, you know, if somebody's in some like really kind of a pinch kind of a place and I see them in the future, I know somehow they get out of it. It kind of takes some steam out of it. I know it's superhero comics, nobody ever truly dies, they all can be resurrected at any point, blah blah blah, but still it does pull some suspense, so it's kind of weird. Then we have some Ahoy comics here. This is Second Coming, issue number 2. The Mark Russell and Richard Pace book about Christ coming back to Earth in a modern time where there is a superhero. He ends up being roommates with the superhero. He wants the superhero to teach him how to be more kind of godlike, because God, Dad, is not really happy with how Jesus played out the first time around. It just kind of went flat. You know, him getting himself killed and whatnot. God wasn't real keen on that. So, you know, maybe this superhero stud can show Jesus the right way to do it. So it's kind of interesting. You know, the superhero is going in, beating people up, and you know, arresting people, and Jesus is at the backside kind of healing people and letting people go. So we'll see. We'll see how the story really plays out one. I'll be curious. Silver Surfer Black, issue number 3. It's all about the art, that Tradmore art with Dave Stewart colors. Look at that beauty of a cover. All kinds of trippy stuff going on inside of it. It's really cool. Story is good too. It's this whole, he's so far off in some place. He's encountered somebody who knows who he is. In the process of battling Silver Surfer, he is losing some of his, I don't know, coding. And in the process of that, he's kind of losing himself. But the art is just trippy, and that's really what it's about. So I'm looking forward to that. And some books that I actually have already dropped. Reaver, I love these Becky Cloonan covers. That is gorgeous. But the Rebecca Isaacson art inside, which normally I enjoy Rebecca Isaacson, I'm just not really excited by. It's okay. And I'm even less excited by Justin Jordan. Nice guy. His comics just don't do it for me. They don't grab me the right way and whatnot. I have yet to complete anything that he has produced. I'll start some stuff with trepidation these days and then not enjoy it. So, yeah, I mean, I'll read this. Maybe it'll grab me. So, you know. And issue number 2 of Unearths. It's a Cullen Bunn book with Sile Solmstrom on art. I always try Cullen Bunn's stuff. I enjoy a lot of it, but then there's stuff that I don't. And the first issue just didn't grab me. There were aspects of it, the kind of Ebola stuff that was going on that was interesting. We didn't hang on to that very long. We ended up down in caves. Giant spirit worm monster annihilating stuff. I don't know. It hopped around and didn't grab me in the way that I wanted it to. Love the covers though; they're intriguing. But so I've already quit ordering it because I get way too many comics. So there's not some spark of some sort. I just need to pull a plug on it right away. If it ends up being great, I'll put it back on the order, and then I'll hunt down the stuff in between from someplace besides Discount Comic Book Service that I can go back and get a monthly issue, like Midtown Comics or whatever. And that is it. That is it for my 2 weeks of comics. I don't know when another video from me will come out as far as me talking about the books. I feel like there's lots of stuff I kind of want to say about some of the things. I just got to figure out how to talk by myself again, because I've gotten so out of the habit of talking about my books by myself in my monster comic review type thing and the no capes. Not sure if that's still the format I want to do it in or whatnot, but clearly the comic roundtable format isn't going to work for now until I decide I'm going to work on that to try and figure out how to make that work. So I try to do some live videos, and I have to have like a third party something in there. I'm not sure what that's all about, and really haven't taken the time to explore yet. Anyway, this is getting on close to 20 minutes. People don't watch it that long. Anyway, have a great one, everybody, and see you whenever the next time is going to be.